Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today, Sam, we are going to concede or double down on preseason takes. That's right, we're 5 weeks into the season. So I've been saying, hey, small sample sizes, don't want to concede, don't want to give up those preseason takes, but we might have to. So let's go through some of them. I'll let you start. Preseason take that you're either saying, look, I was right despite what we might be seeing, or, because of what we're seeing, or something that you're like, hey, I was wrong. Let's change our mind here. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, it's not necessarily our strong suit, the whole changing our minds, admitting we were wrong thing. But,
Never.
sometimes you got to do it. And let's start with that one, right? Let's start with the olive branch to the people that say we never admit our mistakes. I didn't see the Geno Smith thing coming, or for that matter, Seattle being a half decent team. Okay, they lost last week. They're at 2-3 at this point, so they're below 500. It's not spectacular or anything, but Seattle looks like a live team this year, and it's because Geno Smith right now is the number one graded quarterback in the NFL. The list currently reads Geno Smith, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That's the top three graded quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And anybody that says they saw that coming is out of their freaking mind. But look, there were people that were high on Geno Smith and thought he could be a viable, successful quarterback for this team. I didn't even necessarily think he could be that. And so far, I think we're absolutely wrong on that.
Yeah, I'll also concede that. Look, it still is small sample size. It is still 5 weeks, but as I said on the PFF NFL podcast this week too with Geno, it's not just like, oh, he's making a whole bunch of good throws and he's going through a run. I think we're seeing a different player. I think we're seeing a different person, right? I mean, he's rolling left and making plays. Week one, he's making plays while getting hit. We didn't see that a ton 7 years ago when he was playing with the Jets. So that was years ago. And I think that's where I'm more likely to concede and say, yeah, Geno Smith is a different quarterback because he is playing differently. And you and I, we've talked about this a little bit too. Where else do you see these types of comparisons? You don't have a whole lot of history of players just not playing for a while and coming back and being great. Like Rich Gannon is the guy that comes to mind. We'll see if Geno can keep that up, but there's not a great history other than like a Ryan Fitzpatrick breakout, a Ryan Tannehill breakout. But right now, Geno Smith, kind of in rare territory, 5 weeks into the season, playing 90-plus football by PFF grade standpoint.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
What about the other way, where you just double down the rest of the show on everything that you thought preseason?
Yeah, look, I was going to double down on my Super Bowl prediction was Buffalo against Philadelphia before the season. That's looking pretty good right now, but I don't think I even need to double down on that. It's just it's still intact. It's still looking pretty good. One that I'm going to double down on, though, despite all evidence to the contrary, is I still think the Giants are not a good team. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are 5-0, and then Dallas and New York are 4-1 in the NFC East, which all of a sudden looks like the best division in football according to the records. I still just think that the Giants' record is vastly flattering how good they are as a football team. And, there are some grades that back that up. Like right now, the only team with a lower overall team grade than the Giants. Now, look, overall team grade is a very blunt tool, right? It's, in the world of fine motor skills and fancy little watch tools, it's a sledgehammer, right? It might do a job, but it's not exactly the most nimble thing in the world. But the only team with a worse grade than the Giants overall right now are the Chicago Bears. They're not, I think, as good as their record shows. The win against Green Bay, to me, said an awful lot more about Green Bay than it said about the Giants. They've got a couple of sort of unusual wins in there. I just think that this is what can happen in 5 games. I suspect over the course of the season, we're going to see a team that's an awful lot more like we expected them to look rather than a team that's, a playoff contender or shooting for postseason honors.
Is it fair, though, to say, and again, I don't know how much this matters. Is it fair to say, though, that Brian Daboll, the entire new regime, Wink Martindale at defensive coordinator, they have made a difference there?
Sure.
So maybe they're not playing well, but it's probably encouraging for Giants fans, right? It's probably encouraging for the future as they do improve their roster. Because I agree too. I will double down and say the Giants are still rebuilding. They're 4-1, and I think they're still in rebuilding mode. However, it's encouraging that they've been able to squeeze these wins out. It's encouraging that they're able to scheme it up for a Saquon Barkley and make some key defensive stops as needed. Now, again, I don't know how much that matters. 2 years ago, Ron Rivera was doing that for Washington. They won
Right.
the NFC East in a terrible year for that division, and they haven't gotten any better. So it didn't actually, tell the future, so to speak. But I'm with you. I'll double down on the Giants aren't a great team despite the 4-1 record. The NFL
Yeah, I mean,
action's in full swing here at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's not enough, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Right now, for every leg you add, you can boost your winnings up to 100%. With payouts bigger than ever, why bet on football anywhere else? To make things even sweeter, you can throw down and stepped up same game parlays once per game day all season long. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code PFF only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Sorry, carry on.
no, just the last point on that is that at this point, the very minimum, they'll have a better record, I think, than I would have expected them to have. Like
True.
I was thinking they would be a 4 to 6 win team this season. Like they can lose every game and still be a 4-win team, right? It would be difficult at this point not to exceed a 4 to 6 win kind of target by the end of the season. They've got a couple of games like Houston, they got Washington twice, so 7 wins at this point, I think, should be the absolute minimum expectation for this team given where they are. And that alone means they'll have a better record than I expected, even if they aren't actually materially a better team.
Okay, one more I think I need to concede is we spent all offseason talking about the 3 alpha receivers, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Adams going to new teams. Of those 3, I would say, look, I expected a drop-off for the teams that lost those guys. We're not seeing that in particular with the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs might see a drop-off offensively, but they've been fantastic. And for 2 reasons, right? They've adjusted to what the league has done to adjust to them, and then they haven't missed Tyreek Hill specifically on that offense. There might be times it still pops up and they could use a big play, and they're not as explosive as they used to be, but the Chiefs are still creating great offense. A.J. Brown has gone and I think, turned around the Eagles, got that. Tyreek Hill has made a huge impact on the Dolphins. That is true, but the Chiefs haven't suffered maybe as much as I thought they might.
No, they haven't at all. I mean, I think a part of that is, I tweeted this after the Monday Night Football game, that we were all talking about the impact of Tyreek Hill and what are they going to do without their number 1 receiver. I think probably forgetting a little bit that Travis Kelce, I think, has always been their number 1 receiver. Like Tyreek Hill brings something unique to any offense he's in, but Travis Kelce has always been the high volume guy. He's been their number 1 receiver by traditional measurements, and he's still there. And by the way, he's still unstoppable.
Yeah, so good job by the Chiefs. What else you got here, Sam? You going to concede or double down on something here?
I'm going to double down on one last one, which is that Green Bay still cannot win a Super Bowl with this wide receiver group. I said that before the season. I haven't seen anything through 5 weeks to make me think that that's untrue. They might be good. They might be a playoff team. They might go on, win a couple of games, but I don't think you can knock off a sequence of the best teams in the NFL with the group of wide receivers that they have playing. And we're seeing the kind of cap, the limitations that is putting on this team already through 5 games. And unless, one of these young guys just takes this giant step forward, I just don't think it's going to happen. Like Romeo Doubs has the most targets on the team. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Robert Tonyan. It's not enough.
Yeah, so when you're trying to win in today's NFL, you need multiple options offensively. If you go back to the last 2 years, Matt LaFleur has done a great job scheming it up. If you go back to 2020, go back and watch Aaron Rodgers' touchdown passes in the red zone. Not taking anything away from Rodgers, but Matt LaFleur, and he did it Sunday, just scheming up some incredible open throws. They did it Sunday. Fake end around, wide open touchdown pass. It feels like the Packers offense has so much pressure on the play caller and scheming up open receivers because they do that well. They've done it well over the last couple of years. But when they had Devontae Adams, there was always a point where it's like, hey, it's 3rd and 8, go play ball. Rodgers, Adams, play a 2-man game. You've got great feel, throw back shoulder, throw the go ball, whatever it is. That's what they're missing. They are missing that next connection. They still scheme it up, but you can't always scheme up the open throws. At some point, you got to go win one-on-ones, and I do think that's where the Packers, that their offense is just lacking right now, and so I agree with you there. So there we go.
Excellent.
So we're conceding. Geno's really good.
Yep.
Mahomes and the Chiefs are really good. Doubling down on the Giants, doubling down on the Packers, and of course your Super Bowl prediction, Eagles and Bills still very much alive. Let us know any preseason takes you're ready to double down or concede right now. It's the